Every damn day, it's another plane crash.
The plane hit, they say, bam!
Anything but a plane.
Air travel is still one of the safest ways for you to travel.
Another plane emergency, another scary headline. Now people everywhere are asking the same question. What is happening to the airlines lately? Is flying actually becoming more dangerous? Or are companies trying to hide bigger problems behind the scenes? Today we're talking about the truth that passengers are starting to notice themselves. What's going on? Check this out.
The man struck by the airplane engine at Denver International Airport has been identified, and one of the biggest questions people are asking is, how was he identified? As disturbing as it is, airplane engines are very strong, and when something like this happens, there's not usually very much left to identify. With that being said, they were able to use the fingerprints left behind at the scene from the fence that he scaled to ID him. And this is where his background becomes part of the story because his fingerprints were already in the system due to his criminal history. Before we get into his criminal history, I am not insinuating that he deserved what happened to him. However, it is relevant and could possibly explain his mindset of why he chose to do what he did. So this is 41-year-old Michael Mott, and he had a very long criminal history in Colorado with reportedly 20 plus arrests, all of them dating back to 2002. These include allegations and convictions ranging from trespassing, shoplifting, DUI, resisting arrest, domestic violence, burglary, assault, and assault on a peace officer. One of the most serious cases was in 2005 when he was arrested in Cortez on an attempted murder allegation.
Why are there so many plane crashes happening? Well, let's take a look at the last few years. We've had wheels coming off, gears collapsing, planes colliding on the ground, missing bolts, planes catching fire midair, emergency doors coming off. Then we've had other industrial issues like oil spills, chemical explosions, train derailments. These type of issues have been an ongoing trend, and the short answer is we do not prioritize maintenance. We've made it so prestigious to work in fields like finance, law, and politics, but who's maintaining the world we actually live in? Corporations also need to see maintenance as an investment and not a cost cutter. Instead of fixing things after they break, we need continuous, software-driven maintenance. We already have the tools to do this too. Mechanics could use AI-powered monitoring to detect failures before they happen. Drones and robotics could help make inspections safer and faster, and smart dashboards could give workers real-time data. We need to value both the workers who fix things and the tech that makes their jobs safer and more effective. At the end of the day, we all want safety when we travel, so it's time to prioritize maintenance.
Imagine looking out your windshield and seeing this, a plane coming right at you. That's what happened to a family of 4 who were driving down the highway when they were hit by a plane making an emergency landing. Allison Hall spoke with the still in shock mom.
It's a gorgeous day for an excursion, but the family in this car is about to have a terrifying brush with death. It starts with mom pointing out something in the blue sky.
Oh, look, you guys. Look.
Dad immediately realizes there's a problem.
Oh my God, why is he so low?
The plane is making an emergency landing. It hits the highway hard and comes close to a head-on crash.
Holy!
From the rear camera, you can see how the plane's wings barely clear the car. The propeller actually clipped the side, leaving this gash.
I never imagined this could have happened to us.
Crystal Ewing was in the car with her husband and 2 kids. They were returning home from a hike in Mesa, Arizona.
So I was just like, oh, look at the plane. And then suddenly I realized, oh, this is close.
I mean, you must feel lucky to be alive.
Originally, when it landed, without seeing the video, I mean, I knew it had been close. After seeing the video, it really put it into perspective, like, wow, like we were inches away from dying.
It's a miracle everyone in the car, as well as the pilot, walked away without any injuries.
It didn't feel real at the moment. It was a pretty surreal experience.
This is actually the 3rd emergency landing on an Arizona highway just this month.
We don't know if these can make it to shore.
Olympia Auten and her niece are among 11 people miraculously rescued at sea after their twin-engine turboprop crash landed.
When the plane come down, the plane hit, they say, bam! Everybody on their seat.
Auten, who's recovering in a Florida hospital, credits 43-year-old Bahamian pilot Ian Nixon for saving lives. Speaking only to CBS News, Nixon says the small aircraft suddenly lost both engines.
Basically lost all navigation, all radios.
He conducted the emergency landing in open waters.
Once we hit the water, I think my first thought was, we didn't die. We didn't die. Let's get out.
Nixon quickly got everyone onto a life raft, and Autumn, who doesn't know how to swim, says she watched the aircraft sink as they waited for 5 hours in stormy weather.
We just with the long water. Nobody was around. And I say, oh Lord, I pray God somebody find us, somebody see us, somebody see us, somebody see us.
They were rescued hours later by an elite U.S. Air Force unit.
They made a declaration. In 10 minutes, the plane is going to come. And then one of the passengers say, hold on, did I hear something?
Oh, when I see the helicopter, that's when I release. I say, oh, thank you, Jesus, we get saved, we get saved, we get saved.
Both grateful to be alive.
We never know if it's going to make it. But thank God we make it.
Another incredible part about this rescue, that Air Force unit is specifically trained in search and rescue, and they were conducting exercises just 15 minutes away from the crash site when they got the call. Tony?
Went from training to the real thing. Christian Benavides, thank you very much.
Every damn day it's another plane crash. Into the ocean, into an apartment, into somebody's house, the backyard, the river, the lakes, the streams, Why is the news reporting this like it's the weather? Is anyone else a little bit alarmed? Or are we just so desensitized that now that's the new norm? That you could be on interstate and a plane could land on the top of your car? Like, what the hell's going on in this world? It's just nuts.
We now know what happened with the pilots of the American Airlines just before their crash. A runway switch and a vague alert before you hear them crash. Just after 8:43 p.m. on January 29th, you can hear an air traffic control at the Reagan Airport asking pilots if they can switch runway. There was nothing unusual about this, and they did so. They switched to runway 33. According to the black box audio, radio transmission can then be heard instructing that there is a helicopter in the area. Almost 2 minutes later, the plane drops 500 feet. A controller can be heard on the audio asking the helicopter if the plane is in sight. The airline pilots could clearly hear this transmission, but they couldn't hear the answers. This is because the helicopter and the airplane, were transmitting on different frequencies. The controller was communicating on both of them. At this point, the airplane is sharply focused on landing. The pilots would have had one person looking directly forward and the other one concentrating on all of the inside parts and movements. Right before that plane started that 500-foot descent, the pilots on the airplane receive a transmission that says traffic, traffic. The alert is not uncommon, but it would have caught their attention. Obviously, it would require immediately figuring out what the source is and any kind of correction. Seconds later, another transmission comes through. An air traffic controller is instructing the helicopter to pass behind the CRJ. That was a nickname for this plane. We may never know what the pilots were thinking when they heard this. And that's probably the most concerning part of this, because I know my hopes and thoughts were always that nobody had time to really know what was coming or really think about it after it happened. But about 16 seconds later, at 8:48 p.m., the airline pilots can be heard verbally reacting to something and a hit on the plane.
Why did so many people die in what was an emergency landing at that South Korean airport? Well, all we know from the government is the plane was coming in to land at the airport when the control tower warned there were birds in the area and there were risks of a strike. That's not all that unusual. But about a minute later, the pilot made a mayday call, and the control tower told the plane to land on a different runway, which it did. But when it came down, you can see from the video that the wheels weren't down. So the plane skidded off the runway, which again has happened before, and the passengers have survived. But the tragedy here is that the plane went straight into a wall and exploded. When you see the video, it's a wonder that anyone survived, but 2 people did. They're both crew members, and if they're okay, and we all hope they are, they might have some more answers. And if the black boxes are okay as well, investigators will be able to get more information from them. But thoughts with everyone involved here in what was one of the worst crashes and one of the most horrific videos we've seen in a while.
America, you got to ask yourself what's going on. In the past 24 hours, there's been 3 plane crashes in different parts of this world. And in all 3 of these plane crashes, there's been something wrong with the landing gear, causing a failure for the plane to be able to land. A Dutch KLM flight from Norway to the Netherlands was experiencing hydraulic system failure and had to make an emergency landing with 182 people. Right before that, you had the plane that crashed in South Korea, killing 179 people. This plane was also experiencing landing issues. We all know that the video is floating around. I'm not gonna put it up here. It's very graphic. You can see in the video that the plane landed and skidded on the runway and crashed. And also, an Air Canada flight experienced a suspected landing gear issue after arriving at Halifax Stanfield International Airport in Nova Scotia on Saturday night. And on this plane, it was heavy fire and heavy smoke. Luckily, nobody was injured. Now, these 3 individual plane crashes may not have anything to do with each other, but it's definitely alarming because we fly on a regular basis. But when the information comes out, we definitely need to know what's causing these issues.
We have some absolutely horrific breaking news right now. The FAA has officially confirmed that a CRJ-700 regional aircraft, an American Airlines flight coming from Wichita, Kansas, has hit a Black Hawk airport near DCA in Washington. It was a military helicopter, and it was a passenger commercial airliner. The airliner can carry up to about 60 people or so. And we have a video circulating of the incident. I don't want to speculate, but let me just tell you something. It is absolutely horrific right now. We don't know how many survivors, if any, there are, but there is a complete ground stop right now at the Washington, D.C. airport. The FAA has confirmed that it was a mid-air collision with this military helicopter right outside of the airport. It was coming from Wichita, Kansas. The FAA and the NTSB are actively investigating right now, and they're going to provide us more information as it comes in. Folks, I want you to join me in saying a prayer tonight for all those involved. I mean, this is so serious. I will continue to provide you updates as soon as we get more information.
Actually, more plane crashes last year than this year, despite hearing about like 2 in all of last year and hearing about like 2 a day every day this year. Could it be that there's just more people trying to make up bad news about things? Nah, I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
In the last 72 hours, three aircrafts have crashed. Commercial airplanes, jet planes, and a military aircraft helicopter. 3. That's 3 too many. I'm sorry. 2025, I'm gonna take a break from plane rides. It's scary. Like Subway me, Greyhound me, Brightline me, Tri-Rail me, anything but a plane. I'll take a train, I'll take a car, I'll take an Uber.
So if you've been seeing a lot of plane crashes on the internet and it's really scaring you away from traveling, please let me make myself very, very clear when I say this. The number of plane crashes this year is actually less than previous years. However, the number of reportings that we are seeing is increased. Is that a coincidence with our current presidential administration? I'm truly not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. One of the ways that people in power will try to control other people is by convincing them that something different from what they are experiencing is dangerous and creating a fear around that. So now all of a sudden, even though there are less plane crashes this year, we're now seeing more news reportings and it's just all over our feeds all the time, which would in turn scare the public away from getting on flights, experiencing other cultures, potentially even moving abroad and doing things that are outside of our bubble of the United States. Please, please, please keep the fear-mongering to yourself because air travel is still one of the safest ways for you to travel.
Okay, this DC plane crash is just not sitting well with me. None of this is making sense. So first, let's talk about the plane. So PSA Airlines is a small airline. It's actually a subsidiary of American Airlines. And they've only got a few hubs. And interesting enough, actually yesterday, they just announced that Charlotte would be their main hub instead of Dayton, Ohio. So this plane is small. It only holds 64 passengers, some of which are very high-ranking figure skaters from some countries that we're not great friends with. But let's focus on the helicopter, because if you watch the video, it clearly shows the Black Hawk going straight into the plane. So when a military helicopter is flying, the FAA protocol generally requires it to follow standard airspace rules and communicate with air traffic control as needed, while also considering special considerations like designated military operating areas, flight plan details and potential need for priority handling due to mission requirements. Military helicopters should typically file a flight plan detailing their route and altitude and are expected to maintain safe separation from civilian aircraft while operating in a controlled airspace. Now, interesting enough, DCA is actually a Category B airport.
Why is it that no one's talking about the fact that there have been over 1,600 aviation incidents since 2026 began? And just today alone, 2 instances in New Jersey. One of them could have been fatal, but wasn't. A delivery truck driver was en route, driving on a highway, when a plane making a landing struck the truck. You heard what I said, struck the truck. Thankfully, the driver survived and is okay. Take a look at this dramatic, scary video captured by his dash cam. How scary is that? To just be doing your job, going about your daily routine, and a plane comes in just a bit too low and one of the wheels strikes your truck. You can see from right here in this frame, he knew something was wrong. He heard that plane and saw it coming. And like I said, thankfully, this individual is alive. And as you can see from this right here, this all took place on the New Jersey Turnpike at around 1:50 Sunday afternoon. Now keep this in the back of your mind. The weather in New York today is beautiful, and in New Jersey, the sun is shining. It is crystal clear outside. How this happened, no one knows. And earlier in the day prior to that incident that occurred, a United Boeing 767 clipped a light pole while landing at Newark Liberty Airport. And once again, thankfully, no one was injured and no one lost their life. But once again, since the year 2026 started, there has been over 1,600 aviation occurrences with various accidents and fatalities reported. So I guess my question to you is, what the heck do you think is going on in the skies?
At this point, people don't just fear turbulence anymore. They're starting to fear the entire airline industry. Too many incidents, too many questions, not enough honest answers. Do you still think flying is safe in 2026? Or are airlines cutting corners behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is getting deeper every single day.
No fit over.